Hi, John.
Oh, hi, Carol. Hi.
Hi, Maria.
There I am.
There you are.
Hi, Carol.
Hey, Jeff.
Once more with feeling.
See, more people are coming on board.
Okay.
Hi, Andy.
Hello, Carol. How are you?
Okay. I'm not I can't believe we're in another meeting already, but here we are.
Yeah. It seems like Thursday was just Tuesday.
Seems like just yesterday. It almost was.
It did throw me off a little bit. I forgot, and I saw an email again today. I was like, oh yes.
I had a moment of panic because I thought it was at 6 and I was just finishing up my dinner. But we're good. Hi, Aaron.
Oh,
There we go.
There's Mike.
And
Can you guys hear a dog barking in the background here? Okay,
faint,
good.
faintly.
She's been banished, but she's still making noise.
She
It's
wants
my
to
dog,
join.
my daughter's dog. She just got a treat. I don't know what her problem is.
She wants to be. She's FOMO, like
Yeah,
all dogs.
exactly. So I think let's see, we're waiting for Bob Reinhardt.
is he back?
Bob Reinhardt should be coming. John Morgan, Aaron, and or Maria, do you know?
I saw on his on Michelle's list today, he did not respond.
Okay, let's see if he comes.
Thought John Morgan was coming, but
There was two that didn't respond. I thought it was John Morgan was one of the names I saw that didn't have anything next to it.
I know
Okay.
no Bob and no Janet tonight.
No Bob O'Connor and no Janet. Yeah,
Right.
got it. And it looks like we have participants ready, attendees ready. Good.
You guys can hear me okay?
Yes, fine.
Oh, okay, good.
Wait another minute or so before
Sure. Yeah.
we get started. Nice, Maria. I see we have another attendee.
I have one at my feet too.
Hi, Bob.
Hi. Ah, let's see if this will work.
It's 7 o'clock.
Sorry, that was me.
I'm gonna say that was pretty good. What the?
That was my that's my Mac telling me what time it is. My wife hates it. It goes off every hour.
I kind of liked it.
I kind of do too.
Say,
That's why I kept it.
I don't blame you.
I get absorbed in something. All of a sudden I realize, oh, that's what
It's
time.
7 o'clock.
Mhm.
I gotta drop my table so I can do this without breaking anything.
Here comes John Morgan. Great. Hi, John. You might be muted. I'm not sure.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
No?
Aaron, are we ready?
Can hear you.
Good to go? Recording?
All set.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Will the Madison Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of July 18th, 2024, please come to order. We have two public hearings scheduled for this evening. One is a continuation and one is new. As a brief reminder for this Zoom meeting, the steps for conducting a public hearing are as follows. Step 1, the applicant will be invited to present the application, explaining to the commission and others what is being requested. The applicant or staff will share all application materials on the screen as needed. Comments of town agencies will be read for each application if there are any. Step 2, commissioners will ask clarifying questions. Step 3, attendees will have an opportunity for clarifying questions and comments. Anyone who wishes to speak, please raise your hand through the Zoom platform and wait to be called on and unmuted. According to Connecticut land use law, cross-examination of persons testifying is allowed, but cross-examination of commissioners is not. As this public hearing must be recorded, attendees will state their names and addresses before asking their questions or making statements. Step 4, the applicant will have an opportunity to address any questions or concerns raised by the public or commissioners, and it must be given the opportunity to speak again without interruption. Once the public hearing is closed, the applicant is free to leave or remain for the balance of the regular meeting, during which the commission will try to reach a decision on each application. Each applicant will be notified in writing as to the decision of this commission and has a right to appeal to Superior Court if desired. Decisions of this meeting are available the day after the meeting by calling the Land Use Department at 203-245-5631 after 9 a.m. All actions taken tonight by the commission will be by roll call. All commissioners and staff will identify themselves for the record before speaking. If needed, with Zoom, maybe we don't have to do that. Seated this evening are members Mike Bugda, Jeff Downs, John Duza, John Morgan, Bob Reinhardt, Andy Rubin, and myself, Carol Snow, Chair. Staff present this evening are Aaron Mannix and Maria Patola. The meeting is being live streamed it will be live streamed on YouTube and will be made available on the town website for viewing. And the town planner will now read the legal notice for our new public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Notice is hereby given that the Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a remote public hearing on Thursday, July 18th, 2024, beginning at 7 p.m. via Zoom webinar through either the webinar link or call-in information below. The webinar ID is 915-8196-6735. The password is 452138. Call-in number is 646-558-8656. The following application will be heard: 24-19 plus coastal site plan, 26 Nathan's Lane, map 35, lot 28, zone transition T. Owner Judith Koch Family Trust. Applicant is Robert E. Sonicson, PE, with Waldo and Associates, LLC. Request for special exception per section 6.4.2.3J and section 6.15.7 to legalize 3 dwelling units on the property as a planned residential development. This application includes a coastal site plan. Copies of this application is available for inspection in the land use office. Further details on how to participate in the webinar is posted on the Town of Madison website, www.madisonct.org. All written correspondence can be submitted to the Land Use Department via email to landuse@madisonct.org. Dial 203-245-5631 for assistance. Dated at Madison, Connecticut, this 24th day of June, 2024. Carol Snow, Chair. This published once in the source on July 4th and once on July 8th, 2024.
Thank you, Erin. Okay, so the first item on our agenda is the continuation of the public hearing from June 20th, 2024 for 24-15, 251 Boston Post Road, map 35, lot 53. It's a zoned plan district development, owner My Four Boys LLC, applicant Thomas A. Stevens and Associates, petition for zone boundary change, plan development district per section 32, modification of master plan to convert club into a restaurant with residential unit above with associated site improvements. So I see Attorney Beatty,
Good evening.
Mandel, and Mr. Lulaj are present on Zoom. Welcome, everybody.
Good evening. I'll let you kick it off, Jeff, and then I'll supplement the information.
Thank you. Jeffrey Beatty, 20 Water Street, Guilford, Connecticut, for the applicant, My Four Boys LLC. Following our last meeting on June 20th, we've continued our dialogue with the Department of Transportation, and as a result of that dialogue, they wanted us to go back to the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. We've continued the dialogue with them. I'm going to let Mr. Mandel speak to those two things because he's been the one most in contact with both the DOT and the DEEP. We also engaged SLR. David Sullivan did an analysis of the site for the sight lines. I don't believe he's completed his report yet for us to submit to the commission, but the preliminary indications were that to no one's real surprise, the sight lines from Stonewall Lane are not ideal and are not superior to, in our opinion anyhow, to the sightlines from the Boston Post Road entrance and exit that's currently on the property. I've been speaking with Mr. Mandel. Mr. Sullivan's not here this evening to answer any questions, and we're waiting to try and iron out what agreement we may be able to strike with the DOT to continue our to hopefully achieve our goal of having the Boston Post Road entrance continue to be used as an entrance and exit for passenger vehicles and an entrance for delivery trucks, with those trucks then exiting out of Stonewall Lane. And as we indicated at last month's meeting, we're not anticipating there to be more than 10 trips per week from the site. So the amount of traffic generated by the site onto Stonewall Lane by the trucks we expect would be relatively small. So having said all that, my expectation is, well, before I turn it over to Chuck, my expectation is that we're going to be requesting that this matter be continued to the next available meeting of the commission, in the hopes that in the interim we'll be able to get a report from Mr. Sullivan and hopefully reach some sort of an understanding with the DOT, which would allow us to achieve the goal that we, as well as I believe most of the concerned parties who have spoken before this commission, would much prefer having the Boston Post Road access point continue to be used as the entrance and exit, at least for the passenger vehicles, and at least as an entrance for the commercial vehicles. So that's where we are. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Mandel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Good evening, Chuck Mandel. Yeah, I'm a little bit more optimistic. I was hoping to close the public hearing and approval tonight, but that's okay. I did meet Dave Sullivan out at the site. We subsequently did a sightline plan for Stonewall Lane. It appears that Stonewall Lane isn't hampered by any brush or any, it's really just by grade. So there's about 150 feet looking westward that would have to be ground down and taken down off the Boston Post Road. So that is a quite expensive undertaking. Stonewall Lane, we did agree, was the less favorable access point for access and egress for all the passenger cars. I reached out to DEP from DOT's suggestion. I tried contacting Jason Hale on many occasions. I had no response from him. I finally contacted his supervisor, who in turn put me in touch with Mary Beth Hart. She contacted me last week. I had a brief conversation with her. She wasn't sure if it fell within the coastal jurisdiction area. We went out and did some topography. It is not within her jurisdiction. It's elevation 6 or so, and they're elevation 4 for their jurisdiction. I spoke to her. She finally did get back to me today with that response, and she told me that we should contact William Sigmund, and he is the Land and Water Resource Regulatory Division. So I found that out about today about 2 o'clock, that he's the new person to contact in regards to the regulatory process, since we're asking to clear within the state right of way. I haven't heard back from him either, so there really isn't much that I can report in regards to that. So the only thing I can say is that I did talk to Dave Sullivan today. He apologized for not, he had a prior commitment. I mentioned for the next meeting, he may not be able to be there, but one of his co-workers will probably do a presentation and have a report at that time. And there's not much else to report. As you can see, the work is continuing. They're starting to install a septic system, so there's forward progress with that. He's moving towards the site, so this is something that we need to get resolved sooner than later. And we're waiting to find out. The only issue that P&Z is going to have, I think, going down the line, if we have approvals from DEP to go ahead and do the clearing, is the fact that we will still need a letter from a public official stating that we can remove the trees. We went out and located additional trees. There's several trees that are over 18 inches in diameter. We're not proposing to disturb any earth, but those trees will have to be cut down below eye level. So that is just another issue that the P&Z Commission should keep in the back of their minds when if we ever get approvals for the main entrance. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you. I actually have a question for you, Mr. Mandel. I think we're getting a lot of pushback about the number of trees that came down and hoping not to have to take down any more trees. I know, first of all, I want to say thank you for all the work you've been doing with DOT and DEEP. And we really appreciate all the effort that's going into that to see if there are options. I'm going to add one more option then to ask about, and that is whether we could, for the clearing to the east, if we can clear the shrub and, sort of limb the tree so that just leave the trees in place, but gain a lot more visibility through the kind of brush and undergrowth and invasives that are there. I don't know if.
Yeah, well, Madam Chairman, Chairwoman, that's the intent. Believe me, we want to remove as little as possible and have as little work as possible. So yes, our intent is actually to try to save as many trees as possible. The 2 large oaks that are there, unfortunately, are within that site triangle. We're wondering if maybe, we actually did change the setback from the edge of pavement. So in order to achieve sight line, typically they want 15 feet. We went 10 feet. So we eliminated some of the sight line clearing that's required, but we won't know until we actually we can start with removing the invasives and some of the limbing the trees. But as the actual tree itself, that I cannot answer until you can't really see what's there until we start.
Yeah.
But the intent is to save as much as possible. Believe me, I know about the pushback the town has been getting about these trees.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Chuck, may I ask a question? Oh, Mike, I'll go ahead with commissioner questions first, and then I'll ask once you're through.
Mike, you're
Mike,
muted.
we can't hear you. You're muted.
Oh, sorry.
Now we can hear you.
Oh, now we can hear you.
Okay. Pretty sure it's successful doing ingress and egress Boston 50-50, better than 50-50.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, you broke up. I didn't hear the question.
Yeah, you're
Doesn't
cutting
work
in and out, Mike.
How about now?
Yep.
What is your personal probability of being successful with ingress and egress on Boston in time?
Is your question what is Chuck's personal opinion on the
Yes.
success of both ingress and egress for all
Yes,
vehicles on the post road?
yes,
Yeah, so originally that site had been for access and egress from the Winter Club for I don't know how many years it's been in existence. It had
right.
never been a problem. Actually, we never would have contacted if we never contacted DOT in the first place. This probably wouldn't even have come up. They might not even. This might have gone right past their radar, and they might have come back after the restaurant was open and may have said maybe you want to do some clearing. My personal opinion is that Stonewall Lane is a dangerous intersection. It should have been fixed years ago, probably. And this is the main entrance should be used with some. And as Carol had mentioned, I think if we did some clearing of the underbrush, I think we can improve. The sight line isn't great. It's still doable for a competent driver. And if we had cleared that up and leaving those two major oak trees there, I don't see that as a problem, but I'm not a traffic expert, so I can't
All
speak.
right. Then
Mike, you're breaking up again. I don't know what's going on.
it's my headset. It's been banged up. So you think your probability of success is greater than 70%?
Yes, for the main entrance, yes, I do believe that.
Okay. All right. Because I was just going, my second question was going to be, what about a backup plan with the neighbors again? But you haven't pursued that for now.
Well, our backup plan was to use the access and egress for passenger vehicles and use it just for egress, access and egress for truck traffic, the 10 trips a day. Actually, it would just be for egress. The trucks can still enter from the post road. They would just have to exit from Stonewall.
All right. But the neighbors weren't happy with that either, correct?
I think they were okay with just trucks leaving and left turn only, because service trucks would have no reason to go exploring the dead end neighborhood. They have
Of course.
they have other obligations. They're on a time limit. So I don't believe, except for the neighbor on the very corner, I don't remember their name. But then it would be during daylight hours anyway. There wouldn't be any headlights hitting their house. It would be minimal.
Okay.
Exactly. Just to follow up on that, the deliveries that we're expecting are no more than 10 per week. And most of them are going to be taking place prior to 11 o'clock in the morning to avoid interrupting the lunch service at the restaurant. So we're not expecting given that the number and the timing of the deliveries being made, we would expect that the impact on the house on the corner, on the westerly corner of Stonewall and the post road would be relatively minimal.
All right. But you haven't pursued anything more with the neighbors at this point, hoping that you'll be successful with your main approach. Am I correct?
Yeah, so we've had contact with after the meetings. The owner, Francesco, has been here. He has contacted the neighbors. They seem amenable to this, but I'm not going to speak for them at all. But it just appeared that they would be okay with truck traffic just exiting.
Okay, thank you.
That's my understanding. Thank you.
Andy?
Oh, thank you. I apologize up front because I missed the last hearing. This may have been covered, but with the trucks just leaving the lot during the day, that's great if everyone's happy with that. What about at night? Is there going to be some sort of swing gate that can be closed? Because otherwise, what's going to prevent patrons from just deciding, well, that's just an easier way to get out. I'm lost. It's more convenient to where I'm parked. And then we're right back with the same issue that started it. Was that discussed at all?
No, that was not discussed, and it's something we can certainly bring up. We were going to have extensive signage, and we could put some barrier there to prevent that.
Yeah, I understand the signage about no left turn. That's
Yeah.
Or no right turn. That'd be great. But if that's not going to prevent someone from going out after having dinner or whatever, and it wouldn't be intended to. So the signs would have to be, do not enter, and then that's going to confuse the truck. So, if it's permanent, obviously. So that's what I'm just thinking. Maybe a gate that can obviously would be the responsibility of the store, I mean, excuse me, of the restaurant, but they can close at, say, beginning at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock at night. They're not normally getting deliveries then, right? So
Yeah, actually, we could actually just put cones across. I mean, it wouldn't even have to be a physical gate. Just,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
There's something
And no
simple.
one's getting out of their car to pick up cones. So exactly.
Exactly. I wouldn't think so, but yes, thank you. Something to that.
Okay, no, that's a good suggestion. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Chuck, oh, John, go ahead.
Couple questions. So regarding this sightline issue, Chuck, I think alluded to this. It seems like a car that's pulling out would actually be sort of in front of the large trees. So you'd almost have to look behind you for the trees to be an impediment. But I think you mentioned that the state requires a 10-foot setback for the actual sightline. Is that the rule?
Yeah, it's the hood of the car. So they say from the bumper to the driver is a prop, and by the time you feel safe, it's about 10 feet back. Actually, they like 15 feet, but they'll allow 10 feet from the edge of pavement. So it would seem like it's almost, but there's such a curve in the road. So if you looked at we do have plans submitted, and you can see the sightline triangle, and that's from the AASHTO standards for sightlines.
Okay, and how come this wasn't an issue with the Winter Club?
That was an pre-existing use, and DOT feels that this was a change of use, and there's going to be higher traffic now.
Okay.
Right.
John Morgan?
Yeah, Chuck, why would the state think that it's safer for trucks to leave through Stonewall than through the main entrance exit? I mean, that seems to be even more dangerous for a truck. They're going to be slower.
Well, yeah. Well, here we're playing this game again with the state. So they want everyone to leave off of Stonewall. We can't. The only reason the original sightline distance was over 500 feet, if I remember correctly. Passenger cars have a shorter sightline distance that's required. So that's why the state wouldn't have a problem with trucks leaving, but they're slower to get to speed. But they were happy. So we shortened the sightline distance for passenger vehicles, but not for the SU-30 vehicles. So it really would be safer for trucks to leave from that, but we certainly cannot meet the sightline requirements for trucks. And since Stonewall Lane is a pre-existing town road, DOT has no concerns over sightline.
So then the follow-up question, does the town engineer have any concerns?
I did meet with John Yanako out there, and he felt the same way. Stonewall Lane is not safe, and he could not endorse it.
For cars or trucks, or?
For a continuous use. Yeah, I mean, for cars right now, it's a pre-existing condition. So, I mean, there are families up there now that are using it, and it's not safe.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have testimony from many of the owners who live there who wouldn't mind seeing the Boston Post Road ground down for 150 feet to maintain a safe sightline.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who has the money for that.
I'm not sure the neighbors who live there would like that. Like that.
Yeah,
No
I'm not sure, Carol, but no, it's safer. It would still be safer for trucks to leave from the main entrance, but the state may allow trucks to leave from Stonewall.
Aaron, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, please. Chuck, when Dave is going to be providing, or Jeff, when Dave Sullivan will be providing comments, will he make comments as far as recommendations for both single vehicles and trucks, and what driveway, or in his comparison between the main driveway and Stonewall Lane, what his recommendation is, or the difference?
Yeah, I can certainly have him add that to his report. Absolutely.
I'm just curious.
And no, we haven't really discussed it, Aaron. We just kind of looked at it precursorily. He just got the information, so he can certainly add that to his report.
My second question is whether or not there's an opportunity. I know widening that main driveway on the Boston Post Road is improving the turning radius to get in and out. But if you were not proposing any changes to that driveway, does DOT have any authority over what vehicles come in and out.
Yeah, I think we're in the, we're a little bit pregnant right now, so I think we have to, keep going with the way we're going.
What does that mean?
Yeah, we're involved with DOT. They're not backing down now at this point.
Okay, so from a town's perspective, I think that was something that staff had recommended at the last meeting, was definitely to get Dave involved and to see if we could have this comparison between the main driveway on Boston Post Road and Stonewall Lane, be able to provide some opinion from a traffic engineer, so that the town can come to the table as well with discussions with DOT. So I know that in conversation with both the engineering department as well as the first select woman's office, that would be something the town is willing to do. So as soon as you get that information from Dave, we would like to schedule a call.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I did speak to him today. He did say Stonewall is the less viable option, but not in a report form. So I'll wait for him to have a formal report.
Great.
Yep.
If there are no other questions or comments from commissioners, I see a hand raised from attendees. Are we okay
Is
to-
it still a public hearing? Yes, you did have some testimony the last couple of meetings as well.
Yeah.
We can open it up to public, any new public comment.
There's a hand raised from Fran Brady. There he is. Thank you.
Sure. Fran, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Francis Brady. I live at 108 Genesee Lane in North Madison. Specifically, my question is in regards to the original larger trees in the state right away, that the contractor and by default the applicant cut down without the Connecticut's DOT approval. This was clearly and has been expressed in a letter as being illegal. One of the trees removed illegally was a rare disease-free American elm of significant diameter. Some of these trees were not even on the original landscape plan. If this had occurred in Greenwich, the applicant would be potentially liable to pay $1,000 per tree per day for the violation. Just ask our governor. Unfortunately, our town does not have such rules, as it doesn't have the resources to focus on this. It's more focused on business development and not toward protecting our environment. But per Connecticut state regulations, the town has the authority to levy a fine in this case. The town has the authority to ask for tree replacements equal in value to the lost trees. Before this Planning and Zoning Board gives any further approval, I'm asking the town to exercise that authority so the applicant will continue to do this construction the right way. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have a hand raised by Amy Thomas.
Go ahead, Amy.
Hi, thank you. My name is Amy Thomas. I'm a resident at 34 River Edge Farms Road, not far from this site. And just really echoing what Fran said, and I appreciate that there's been acknowledgement that many residents feel the same way. And, it's been 7 months now, I think, since that property was essentially clear cut. And we now know some of those were taken down illegally. We're looking for some sort of action to happen in response to that. And just explicitly stating my opposition to any more trees coming down, particularly those last 2 standing oaks. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. All right, if that's it for, oh, there's another
One
question.
more, Madam Chair. Colin Sterling.
Hello. Hi, my name is Colin Sterling. I live at 122 River Edge Farms Road. I you know, like the other folks, you know, drive by this multiple times a day and see this. And the earlier clear cutting was fairly devastating. And it's interesting to think that if the scenic road status had begun, I don't know, about 50 feet down the road, it would have been subject to those regulations, and maybe the clear cutting that initially happened wouldn't have. But in any event, that's not where even though the road is obviously scenic and beautiful, it's not technically, you know, the scenic road at that point. So here we are, and I would echo these sentiments and ask the town to absolutely not allow any plan that results in the clearing of more trees, and to find a suitable solution for the safe traffic egress and ingress on the property. And furthermore, would also echo the calls for the town to act in its authority, which it lacks in other ways because of the lack of any tree ordinance, but to ask for the most substantial replantings possible for what was taken down. The character of that property, I acknowledge it will I'm in favor of having a restaurant here. I think that will serve the community, but at the loss of those trees there on that canopy on what we can all agree is a scenic drive, even if it's not a capital S, right where that property starts, was a loss. And it's up to the town to ask for what it can get. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do look forward to seeing the landscaping that was already approved, to see that in place as well. If there are no other, we've got another question, just another hand raised. Anya?
Hi, this is Anya Stremian, also at 122 River Edge Farms, in a different room than Colin. I just want to echo everyone else said, as well as what 700 plus people co-signed on the petition protesting the trees that came down in vast numbers at the Winter Club. And also echo a really smart question that was asked, which is, if this was not an issue for the Winter Club, why those two oaks on Boston Post Road, why is it such an issue for the Madison Oyster House? Are they going to have, I thought that was a valid question to raise. And I think at least 700 more people would be devastated to see those trees come down, if not more. So thank you.
Thank you. As Attorney Beatty said, this will be continued. And if there are no other questions, maybe we could go ahead and make a motion to continue the hearing. I think, Erin, would it be August 15th?
So you have two meetings in August, August 1st and August 15th. On August 1st, you have the continuation of your Plan of Conservation and Development public hearing, as well as the continuation of the 6 Opening Hill application public hearing. I don't know if you would like to add this as well onto that agenda, or if you'd like to have it on the 15th.
I would prefer to have it on the 15th. I don't know how other people feel, and I don't know how the applicants feel, but if that's an option.
Yeah, Chuck Mandel, if I could say something, it's probably going to take us the way the DEP has been responding to our queries. I would say the 15th would be a better time. And how much time do we have left, Erin? I'm not even sure what our
we were wondering that too.
Statutory.
Calculate that. If you grant an extension to August 15th, you'll have used 56 days of your extension. So you're still within your time frame. So
okay.
We will consent to the extension, and I'll follow that up with a letter to the commission.
Okay.
Thank you. I'd still like to have a motion that we continue to the 15th. Mike Bugda, thank you. And a second?
Second.
Bob Reinhardt, any further discussion? All in favor? Jeff? Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next month.
See you in August.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda is 24-19 plus a coastal site plan for 26 Nathan's Lane. So I'd like to invite the applicants.
Rob, here you are.
Good evening.
Good evening, welcome.
My name is Rob Sonicson. I'm a registered professional engineer with Waldo and Associates. We're at 89 State Street in Guilford. I'm here representing the Koch family, who are the owners of 26 Nathan's Lane. This is kind of an interesting application for me because my grandfather owned this house. And my great-grandfather owned this house. The house at 16 Nathan's Lane was built in 1880 by my great-grandfather, and 26 Nathan's Lane was actually the barn for the farmstead, and it burned before the turn of the century, and it was replaced with a house that was built in 1920. And it was the first place that I lived in my life for about 5 years. The special exception has been prepared to address the requirements of section 6.157 of the zoning regulations, which is planned residential development in the transition zone or the T district. The zoning chart that we prepared and appears on the coastal site plan that's part of the application. It's down in the left-hand corner. The property complies with all of the bulk standards for the planned residential development in the T district. Including coverages, minimum lot area, minimum lot width, minimum side yards. The only exception to that is a 80 square foot shed, which is located near the railroad tracks at the rear of the property. You could bring it up to the top. There's the shed. It doesn't meet the side yard or the rear yard setback, and the only activity that's proposed as part of this application would be removal of that shed or relocation of that shed to a location outside of the setback distances. The Madison Tax Assessor's records indicate that the main building on the property contains 2 dwelling units with a total of 3 bedrooms. It's actually 2 bedrooms. One of the dwelling in the front, the section of the house in the front, has 2 bedrooms, but one of them doesn't meet the bedroom standard, so it's considered to be a 1-bedroom dwelling. The other one is a 2-bedroom dwelling, and it has a large open area upstairs, which doesn't comply with the bedroom standards either. So the main house currently has 2 dwelling units in it. The tax assessor's records also indicate that the second building on the property, which is a barn that was built in 1930, it's located as building in the sort of the back part of the property, contains 1 dwelling unit with 1 bedroom and 621 square feet of living area. That 621 square foot area on the first floor was converted to a dwelling unit in the mid-60s. As a matter of fact, it was converted by my grandfather after my grandmother passed away. And his youngest son had to come back to Connecticut because of health reasons from Alaska. And he wanted to give the portion of the house that he was currently living in at that time to his son. So he endeavored to build the one-bedroom apartment where he lived for a couple of years on the site. At the time that the current property owner wanted to put this property on the market, the land use office reviewed the land records, the records of the land use office, and they could not find any record of the portion of the barn being converted to a dwelling unit, and that the total number of dwelling units on the site would be limited to two, the two existing dwelling units in the main house. That determination resulted in our preparing the special exception permit to establish a planned residential development on the property, which will allow the continued use of the dwelling unit in the barn at 26 Nathan's Lane. So that's the essence of this application. We meet all the requirements for a planned residential development in the T-zone. It's going to reestablish the barn as a dwelling unit, which has been continuously occupied for many years as a one-bedroom apartment unit. Once again, going back, we meet all of the standards for a planned residential development in a T-zone. There can be up to 8 dwelling units per building, and we're proposing 2. There can be no more than 3 bedrooms per dwelling unit, and we're proposing 2. The average density shall not have any more than 8 dwellings per acre, and we're providing 2. And the bulk standards are also met. The maximum building coverage is less than the 20% allowed, and the maximum floor area ratio is significantly below the 30% that's allowed. We also prepared, since it's in the coastal area, we also prepared a coastal site plan and a CAM application for the project. The resources that exist on the site are general coastal resources. Anywhere that's in the coastal area is identified as a general coastal resource being on site. The project complies and it will have no effect on the coastal resources on or near the property. There's no impervious surface being added. So in our opinion, we completely meet the coastal resource policy direction. The coastal hazard area is also on site. There's the flood hazard from Bailey Creek, which is a freshwater watercourse which runs along the west property boundary and has an inland wetland fringe along it, which is shown on the plan. Bailey Creek does, well, Route 1 floods in this area backing up at Bailey Creek near the railroad bridge. It always has. It's gotten worse since the property across Nathan's Lane put the brook in a culvert many years ago. But the flood insurance map does show that the flood hazard area, which is shown on as a dashed line running sort of through the center of the property and just touching the corner of the house, which is where an at-grade driveway enters the basement area. It does include coastal hazard, but we're consistent with the policy because we're not increasing impervious. We're not making any changes, and we'll have no impact on the coastal hazard boundary. The other resources are tidal wetlands, which are located off-site. The nearest tidal wetlands are located on the south side of Route 1. Bailey Creek does discharge into the tidal wetland area, but the freshwater, because of the fact that we're not proposing any activity on the site, it won't have any impact on stormwater runoff or impact the tidal wetland resource in any way. So, and there is also a freshwater policy, and we meet the requirements of that in protecting that resource because there literally is no change in the site plan. It's going to, the grass area is going to remain as it is, no expansion of the buildings, simply a reuse of the prior existing occupancy of the site. So that's a summary of my presentation with regard to this application. I'm hoping that you'll agree that this is a good way to resolve sort of an open issue with this property that was discovered not very long ago. I think that the best way to handle it is to follow the course that we are and to ask for approval of a planned residential development at 26 Nathan's Lane. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Hopefully you will look favorably upon the application.
Thank you. Are there any questions from commissioners?
Yeah, I have one.
Bob Reinhardt.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to follow along on the storyline. It sounds like in the tax assessor's office, both housing units are included, but elsewhere, there's no indication that the barn was ever converted to a one-bedroom apartment, essentially. Is there any need for us to look at the need for a CO for that property if we do that? I'm unsure of what our responsibility is as far as converting it to a planned residential development is fine, but was the barn ever officially established as a livable property? And do we have any responsibility for looking into that?
Would you like me to?
Yeah, whoever might have an answer would be great.
Okay, so that's correct. So as Rob indicated, a search of the land use records, which are permit records, did not reveal any permits to convert that barn to a dwelling unit. And so that was where the position was taken that the front building, the two units were legally non-conforming, and that in our opinion, the rear unit was not. So this is the step to legalize the process through a zoning perspective. The applicant would also, be subject to working with the building department.
Okay.
Any other relative health or
healthy building, because there's no records.
Okay.
Formally legal, yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that step would be with Vinny, or and I'm not sure, Rob, if you've had that conversation with him yet or not.
No, we haven't breached that conversation. I know we've had some discussions. It's interesting that Connecticut Light and Power brought a pole in and located it on the property at the time that the the conversion was done. And so there's a complete separate electric service. There's a separate septic system. There's a separate heating system. And I have every reason to believe, not having done anything except visit my grandfather there years and years ago, that there's anything substandard about
Okay, good.
the development.
All right, thank you.
John Morgan?
So, Aaron, is this the simplest way to do this? This seems like we're solving a simple problem with a somewhat overarching ruling. I mean, are we giving the right to, at some point, put in a maximum of 8 dwelling units, each one having potentially 3 bedrooms?
No, that's interesting.
The request before you is for a PRD as proposed. So if a modification or, if there was a desire to add additional units, that would be subject to an additional special exception use. This
But
happens to be a way to legalize the 3rd unit to remain, as opposed to having to obtain permits to remove that unit from the rear building.
Okay.
And just to add on, the current owner has absolutely no interest in doing anything other than continuing the status quo on the property. And so it would certainly be a completely new application by someone else that would be starting from ground zero if they wanted to build a lot of additional units here. This is just going to keep things the way it's been since 1965.
But Aaron, help me understand that though. If someone bought this property, they wouldn't really be starting from zero. They'd have a planned residential development already approved.
For
Yeah.
3 units, for
Right.
what's existing on the property.
Okay, right. But isn't being designated a planned residential development give it certain privileges above and beyond a regular residential lot?
It is a special exception use, yes. And so in that section 15, and I can go through that, there are bulk standards and density standards that if this particular lot could accommodate that bulk or that density, then an applicant would have to come back before you for a special exception, just as any other special exception application includes a specific site plan and a specific use. So that's what is before you this evening, is simply the 2 units in the front building and the additional unit in the back.
Okay. I think I understand. This seems way more convoluted than it needs to be.
Mike?
Yeah.
Bugda?
I had the same question that Rob had, but my other question was, as part of the exception, you're requesting to leave the shed where it's currently located. Is that correct?
No.
No.
Oh, you're going to move the shed. I forgot which.
We're going to eliminate the shed or move the shed as part of this application because it currently is it would require a variance to maintain it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So their intention is to keep it because this all came to light because they tried to sell it, and that's how it all came to light with the 3 apartments. So now they're just trying to legalize it to
Yes.
To live in it?
To sell it.
Oh, to sell it. Okay.
Correct. Right. I mean, that was my understanding. It currently is.
But now they can legally
have a
market it
violation,
for
but
free.
would not comply with zoning. So it was brought to the attention of the land use office, and we've gone through, all of the records and met with the property owner's attorney and professionals to try to determine what the legal use of the property was. You have to understand that the tax records don't necessarily tell you what the legal use is. you know, from a zoning perspective. So the tax records are relevant as you go back to look at the years in which something may have existed. So that can be of assistance in trying to prove a legal nonconformity, you know, that something did exist prior to the adoption of a regulation. But simply because it shows 3 units, you know, we went back and pulled the old zoning regulations at the time and found that that the use did not exist at the time of the regulation. You know, that it was that we didn't have a match for the allowed uses in the zone and a record of permits. So, you know, the assessor goes in and taxes what they see, but you can't always rely on the field cards to know that that is truly a legal use from a land use perspective, a zoning perspective. It happens to be, you know, I think Rob was the one who was searching quite a bit through the regulations to find a mechanism to try to legalize that 3rd unit, because it had existed since the 1960s. And really there isn't a hardship if he chose the variance route to apply to the Zoning Board of Appeals to legalize that unit. That would be a self-created hardship, as it was built, at least from our perspective, without permits.
Without permits.
There's no record of that. So this is an avenue that allows for that 3-unit density. I think within the character of that transition zone, and I tried to, you know, the transition zone is supposed to be mainly residential in character, allowing some commercial uses. So I think that special exception use was added into the regulations to do just that, to allow a little bit more density where able, but not to detract from that residential quality of the neighborhood. We really only have 2 transition zones in town. We have this one here on Nathan's Lane area, and then again on the Cottage, the north side of the Cottage Road, on the east end of town. And those are your 2 transition sections in town.
Thanks, Erin.
Sure.
Mike, did you still have a question, or you?
No.
Okay. I don't see any questions from any attendees, unless I'm missing something. And so if there are no further comments or questions, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Madam Chair, I did just want to add, and I think Rob did that as part of the coastal site plan. This was sent to DEEP as well, and the coastal checklist did come back and identified the same coastal resources that Rob has, and also indicated that no anticipated adverse impacts.
Okay, great. Thanks. Anything else we need to know before we close the public hearing and move to deliberation? Could I have a motion then to do that, to close the public hearing, move to deliberation? That's Mike. Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Thanks, Bob. And any further discussion before we vote? If not, all in favor to move to deliberation? Okay, thanks. Thanks so much. All right, so no new information at this point, but I'm feeling okay with this resolution. Erin, you've provided staff notes and information, which also basically backs up what Mr. Sonicson has just reported to us in a nice, concise way. And we have a draft resolution offered. So unless anyone else has anything else to add, maybe we could go ahead and.
I can screen share that for you, Madam Chair. I did want to note that it would be, this draft does not have a condition, but it would be recommended by staff that we add the condition as Mr. Sonicson noted, that the applicant shall remove or relocate the rear shed into compliance with the minimum setbacks.
Right.
Okay. Duly noted. I don't know if you can type it in as we're looking at it, Erin. Or we
I
can just...
can't on this one just because it's a PDF, I think. Sorry.
Sure, that's okay. So could I have a motion that we approve with one condition?
I'll make that
John
motion.
Morgan, you want to read it
Sure.
through and add the condition?
Sure. Aaron, just before I start reading it, that final sentence there, it says the commission finds the proposal, should that say? in accordance-
Consistent, I'm sorry.
Consistent or consistent? Okay.
2 errors here.
That's okay, thanks.
No problem.
Thank you.
Voted that the Madison Planning and Zoning Commission approve application number 24-19 plus CSP 26 Nathan's Lane, map 35, lot 28, zone transition T. Owner Judith Kosh Family Trust, applicant Robert E. Sonishin, PE, Waldo and Associates. Request for special exception per section 6.4.2.3J and section 6.15.7 to legalize 3 dwelling units on the property as a planned residential development application. As a planned residential development application includes a coastal site plan as detailed in application documents and coastal site plan. Coastal site plan prepared for George C. Koch, trustee, 26 Nathan's Lane, Madison, Connecticut, prepared by Waldo and Associates LLC, dated May 9th, 2004. The commission finds the proposal consistent with the Coastal Management Act and no adverse impacts on coastal resources are anticipated. The effective date of this approval shall be August 1st, 2024, upon filing the special exception certificate. And with one additional item being the applicant shall remove or relocate current shed on property to proper setbacks or something to that effect.
To comply with the setback regulations?
To comply with setback regulations.
Sounds good. I just want to make a quick correction. It was May 9th, 2024, not 2004 for the coastal site plan. Could I have a second? Mike Bugda, and any further discussion?
No.
All in favor to approve? Looks unanimous. Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we move on to pending applications. The next item on the agenda is 251 Boston Post Road, but I think we will table that to August 15th as well.
Correct.
And move on to 24-22 New Road, map 60, lot 18, zone PDD, owner applicant 155 New Road LLC, site plan review, proposed site plan application to construct a 22,491 square foot plus or minus medical office building and associated site improvements per approved master plan pursuant to section 32 of the Planned Development District. And this was tabled from June 20th, 2024, but I think we do have some updates, and it looks like our applicant attorney Shansky is here from your car, maybe. I hope you're not driving. You're
Need to unmute Marjorie.
She's in the car.
So
Lost your audio.
I'll text her right now to unmute.
Thank you. Uh-oh, she's rolling over.
Yeah, we're texting her, so.
It can't be good.
I hope this is safe.
You'll get it. Sometimes if it's connected to the car Bluetooth, that's a problem.
Yeah, they interfere with each other.
Can you unmute her in the meeting? Anybody?
No,
No, no.
should be able to do it.
Write her a message in on a piece of paper. It says unmute.
No, did you disconnect? Yes, now we can.
Can you hear? Okay, so
That
I
worked.
turned my car on, so that's interesting. I beg your pardon for the delay. This is Attorney Marjorie Shansky on remote location at the old Saybrook Town Hall. Here on behalf of 155 New Road, Madison LLC. And with me this evening are Michael Harkin, the project engineer, and Matt Horton, one of the principals. And I think there may be somebody else with Michael Harkin, but I can't see that on my screen right now. And we appreciate the opportunity to be back here. Yes, there has been forward motion. The town today received a letter from Connecticut Water with some very minor requests, one of which had to do with putting the aquifer protection zone on the actual map, which Mr. Harkin did. And on June 24th, Mr. Harkin submitted additional engineering information to the town as had been requested. We've been through ACA. I have seen, and certainly if you would like to speak with Mr. Harkin or anyone else from the team, we're here. But I've seen a draft resolution from the town planner. I think that we are now eligible for the commission's consideration on a demonstration of conformity with the zoning regulations as they apply under section 32, the plan development district, for the development of this parcel. So again, with apologies for my technical ineptitude in getting to my unmuting, we're happy to take your questions.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners?
No.
We do have a rather lengthy resolution, and it's my understanding that we still haven't heard back from our town engineer about the stormwater, but I think if everyone's in agreement, we could move forward and go ahead with the resolution that we have in front of us without delay. Any other?
So yes, Madam Chair, I did incorporate language that into the resolution that could allow the town engineer further communication with Mr. Harkin for both the stormwater and any other site comments they may have, and that requirement to then incorporate those recommendations and comments into a final plan that would be submitted to the zoning enforcement officer. And that would be required prior to the issuance of a preliminary certificate of zoning compliance, which is what is needed before you can get a building permit, basically.
Right.
Right. And then, of course, it does fall that the only unknown is that if there are changes that require, relocation of anything that could affect another system or structure, there's a possibility that that could require revision and return to you. So I think it does kind of check the box that in either situation, we would have that under control and reviewed by staff.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Madam Chair, this
Yes,
is Attorney
Attorney
Shansky.
Shansky.
We're aware of those elements of the condition, having discussed them with Ms. Mannix earlier in the day, and my client is fine with that.
Okay, good to know. Aaron, do you want to put it up on the screen? And it would be great if someone could go ahead and read through it all. I think we should go ahead and read it for the record.
Oh my goodness.
It's a big project.
But this way, I think, it does, as Aaron said, it covers the bases and addresses the concerns we had at the last meeting, so we can, I hope, move forward. Anyone like to try to read it?
I can do it if no one else wants to. Bob,
I'll do it.
in?
I think
I'll do
Bob
it.
Bob
Yeah,
Ryan.
you're the last one. I don't have to do any more for another year, though.
It's all
No
yours.
promises. That's not
Yeah,
a
I know.
condition.
All right, the following resolution is offered. The Madison Planning and Zoning Commission approves application number 24-22, New Road, map 60, lot 18, zone PDD, owner applicant, 155 New Road LLC, site plan review. Proposed site plan application to construct a 22,491 square foot medical office building and associated site improvements per approved master plan pursuant to section 32. Plan Development District as shown on a set of plans, Hammonasset Medical Center, prepared for 155 New Road LLC, New Road, map 60, lot 18, Madison, Connecticut, dated January 2nd, 2024, revised to May 15th, 2024, prepared for 155 New Road LLC by Harkin Engineering LLC, 7 sheets and architectural plans, Hammonasset Medical Center, New Road, Madison, Connecticut, by John Whitco, architect, dated July 16th, 2021, revised to April 9th, 2024, and landscape plan, Hammonasset Medical Center, Madison CT, by TEC Landscape Design, Inc., dated April 15th, 2024, revised to May 16th, 2024, with the following conditions. 1, the applicant shall incorporate feedback and comments from the town engineer into the final site development plan prior to the issuance of a preliminary certificate of zoning compliance. This plan shall be submitted to the zoning enforcement officer. 2, the applicant shall incorporate all recommendations from CT Water into the final site development plan, which shall be submitted to the zoning enforcement officer prior to the issuance of a preliminary certificate of zoning compliance. 3, that the zoning enforcement officer be notified at least 48 hours prior to commencement of any regulated activity. 4, that all erosion and sedimentation controls be installed prior to any site disturbance and be maintained for the duration of construction activities and until the site is sufficiently stabilized to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer. 5, the applicant shall utilize DEEP's guidance document, best management practices for temporary construction and reconstruction operations in aquifer protection areas for the duration of construction activities. 6, the applicant shall finalize and coordinate necessary drainage easements for the town of Madison. These easements shall be executed on the land records prior to the issuance of a final certificate of zoning compliance. 7, the stormwater system shall be inspected by the design engineer during construction to verify consistency with the approved plans. 8, an as-built survey of all improvements, including stormwater system components, shall be submitted to the zoning enforcement officer with written verification from a licensed engineer that the stormwater system was constructed in accordance with the approved plans. The submittal shall be completed prior to the issuance of a final certificate of zoning compliance. 9, given the location of this development within the aquifer recharge area of the Connecticut Water Company's Reddick Wellfield, the applicant shall provide a plan utilizing best management practices for the removal of ice within the development. This plan shall demonstrate how the applicant will minimize the use of chemical de-icing agents. 10, the applicant or successor shall implement the stormwater maintenance program as proposed by the design engineer and provide a report according to the program to the zoning enforcement officer. The commission acknowledges that the applicant has provided a conceptual plan to help mitigate safety and operational issues at the intersection of Route 450 at New Road, Duck Hole Road. The applicant has further agreed to participate in discussions with the town and CTDOT regarding these proposed improvements. In the event that changes to the approved plans are required as a result of other agency permitting to support the proposed activity, the Madison Planning and Zoning Commission reserves the right to review said changes and may require modification of this approval. This approval is made based upon the finding that the proposed use is consistent with the approved master plan for the planned development district for the subject property. The commission approves said master plan with the understanding that the applicant successfully demonstrated that the proposal is consistent with section 32.2.1 of the zoning regulations as location, uses, and layout of the proposed PDD are in conformance with the intent of and the goals and objectives contained in the plan of conservation and development. The PDD is in harmony with the surrounding neighborhoods and land uses, and its proximity to major roads, including I-95, will help provide convenient access to the site while minimizing impacts to local residential streets. The effective date of this approval is August 1st, 2024.
Thank you, Bob. Could I have a second? Mike Bugda, hand raised first, I think. Any further discussion or clarification? All in favor? Looks unanimous. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a great night. Take care now.
Thank you, everyone.
Drive safely. Next, we have under pending applications, 6 Opening Hill Road, which will be continued to August 1st, 2024. And then 24-2424 85 Lantern Hill Road, map 37, lot 21-5, zone R1. Owner Kenneth and Sandra Everts, sorry, applicant Todd Anderson, and this is a lot line revision from a previously approved revision. So Todd, it looks like you're muted.
Oh, he's coming on over as a panelist.
Got it. Okay.
Sorry.
Yes.
There he is. There he is.
There we go. Good evening, everyone. Todd Anderson from Anderson Engineering Survey and Associates in Guilford, here on behalf of Ken Everts and his wife. I was before you not too long ago on this same exact property to do a boundary line revision of a lot located in the Lantern Hill subdivision and their property that they own on Advent Hill there. I went and staked the property out for Ken to look at. He didn't like it. He wanted to change the lines again. So here I am again to come before you and ask to revise the property lines again. We still meet all the criteria for the zone that the lot is in. It's fully compliant. I did contact Trent at the health department, ask him if I needed to do a new B100 application, and he said it would only be a modification. So I sent him the revised B100 plan, and he uploaded it to the existing B100A permit, but I found out today from Aaron that there is some confusion as to whether he needs to actually formalize that modification in some way, shape, or form, or whether just him uploading that modified plan is all that needs to be done. So there is a condition that Aaron has proposed that prior to the filing of the Mylar, we get that squared away with Trent as to whether that was his final approval or whether we're waiting on something else from him. So I guess that's it in a nutshell. Pretty cut and dry.
Okay, thanks. And do you promise not to come back again?
No, I actually staked this one out for him, and this one he likes.
Good.
Great. Do any of you want to see the map, or are you
I'd like to see what the change is, yes.
Yeah, same here.
Todd, can you pull that up, or do you want me to pull it up?
If you could, please. I can't share off of this laptop.
Okay, 1 second.
I'm working on revamping my computers. When I move offices, everything's going to be different, and I'll have much more capabilities, and I'll have a better camera, so you guys aren't looking up my nose.
Oh, we're gonna miss those days, Todd.
We didn't really notice that.
Years of that. Okay, you could walk us through this, Todd. There's a lot of lines.
Okay, so Aaron, if you could put the cursor up to above where it says zone R1 on the lot there. Nope, down to the next one down. Yep, right there. That line there, the dashed line, was the original revision that we had proposed. And I went and staked that line, and there's a hunk of ledge right in the middle there. And he goes, well, I don't own goats, I own horses, and a horse isn't going to get over the other side of the ledge. So I said, well, there's another option. I can take the upland area over here near the road and swap it out for that hunk of ledge. So the lot gets the hunk of ledge that the horse can't get to, and the horse gets the level area up on top there.
Sounds
So
good.
that is the revised line where Aaron's cursor just was.
Thank you.
This one.
Well, that you're in the road now, but
Yes.
yeah, go to the right and go to the right. That one there, that's the revised line. Give him a little bit more access in off of the road to get to his gate that's in the existing fence. Maintaining the existing fence for about 20 or 30 feet, I think it was. And then he's going to have to relocate the fence for his horse to have his little pasture land there.
Thank you. Any questions from any commissioners?
One dumb question. So the applicant owns all of this property, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, he's looking at potentially selling the building lot.
Building.
Okay.
Without the horses.
Without the horses, yes. Horses not for sale.
Okay, if there are no further questions, and Erin, did you want to add any other staff comments?
Nope.
We do have a draft resolution, if someone could read that as a motion to approve.
I can pull that up for you.
I'll do the resolution.
Okay, Mike?
Voted that the Madison Planning and Zoning Commission approve application number 24-24, 85 Lantern Hill Road, map 37, lot 21-5, zone R1, owner Kenneth and Sandra Evarts, applicant Todd K. Anderson, lot line revision as shown on the above referenced map with the following condition. Applicant shall provide zoning enforcement officer with a copy of Health Department 19-13-B100A approval prior to filing of Mylar. Effective date of this approval shall be August 1st, 2024, and upon filing of signed Mylar on the land records.
Thank you, Mike. Could I have a second?
A second.
Was that Jeff? I didn't.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. Any further discussion? All in favor? Looks unanimous. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank
you.
Todd. All right. We have in receipt 24-25, 241 Neck Road, map 12, lots 103-1 and 103-3, zone R4. The owner applicant is Andrew Corwin and Pamela DeArc. This is a lot line revision. Do we have, Chuck Mandel is back.
I'm back.
Would you like to give the presentation?
Of course I would. Good evening, Chuck Mandel, agent for the applicant. Erin, if you don't mind putting the map on. This is a convoluted story. So if you go to the upper right, it might give a better sense of things so the commission can see the tax map.
Yeah.
So 241 Neck Road is a lot that was created by Criscola and Shepherd in 2014. So we are trying to get water is the impetus for this whole thing. So there's a major wetland pocket. So if you look at the larger map, you can see along Neck Road, those little blue triangles, that's all wetlands. So originally we tried to get water to come from the existing right-of-way to the existing foundation that they're in the process of building right now. Connecticut Water has to adhere to PURA regulations. And regulation Title 16, 1611, 64 concerning service, water service, is the water company is not allowed to go through two properties. They can grant an easement through one property, but they cannot grant easements through two properties. So there's the existing driveway, and then it goes off to the south. That little angle point, that's a second property. So Connecticut Water would not allow us to run a line through the existing right-of-way and driveway. Subsequently, we went to the Inland Wetlands Commission, and we attempted to get approvals to go through a major water area. It was a high-value wetlands, environmentally sensitive. Subsequently, the owner of the lot to the west of us, David Etzel, approached us and said, would you like to come off of Stone Road? Well, there's a water main that runs down Stone Road. So that would be one easement area. And he agreed to, he spoke with Andrew Corwin, my client, and he was willing to sell a 10-foot strip of a 20-foot right-of-way that runs up along that line. So David Etzel owns all of Stone Road. There's an existing easement, a water company easement that runs along Stone Road. But we could not go through a secondary easement through that 20-foot strip. So he offered to sell Andrew Corwin that piece of property for $1 and to donate $10,000 to the Madison Land Trust. I did have a conversation with David Roach today, and he said the land trust would be willing to take that donation. So that was not an issue. And that is essentially it. So that little 10-foot strip is wide enough. We had discussions with Connecticut Water. They tentatively approved us going through there with a 1.5-inch water line. It's still wetlands. We had a soil scientist out there, Bob Russo, go out there. It's all Phragmites. It was totally choked in invasives. There was no remediation that was possible. It had no value in regards to wetlands. We did go get wetlands approval through there, and now we're here for approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission to append this 10-foot section to Andrew Corwin's lot. Erin brought to my attention that we needed the B100A. I wasn't aware that we would need a B100A for Stone Road, since it's not really a lot. But I did contact Amanda. We did the application, and she was kind enough to give us approvals for both lots, Andrew Corwin's and Stone Road. And that should be, I believe she uploaded that as part of the record. So here we are, just looking to add that 10-foot strip to an existing building lot.
Will you get rid of the Phragmites?
Well, they're gonna go. The water line has to be 5 feet submerged. It'll be 5 feet down. It's going to be cleared at the time, but there's no way we can keep that Phragmites out of there. Wetlands originally thought we could remediate it, but the soil scientist said that it would be wasted money. We can never reclaim that. It was dry at the time we were there, but it's choked with Phragmites in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Stone Road is privately owned?
Yes, it's owned by David Etzel.
Okay.
And if you look at the tax map, Michael, you can see he owns Stone Road, and the yellow, he owns several rights of way, one to the north and 3 to the south to the water.
Okay.
And again, this is before you only because these lots were created via subdivision. And so that's why these lot line revisions come before the commission. Our current subdivision regulations don't allow these modifications to be done administratively through staff. It requires administrative approval by the commission.
Interesting.
Thanks, Erin. Any other questions or staff comments? If not, we do have a draft resolution. Erin, can you pull it up? And Andy or Jeff, would you like to take a shot at reading this
Yeah, sure, I'll do it.
Thanks,
Sandy.
Andy.
Voted that the Madison Planning and Zoning Commission approve application number 24-25, 241 Neck Road, map 12, lots 103-1 and 103-3, zone R4, owner applicant Andrew Corwin and Pamela DeArc, lot line revision as shown on the above referenced map with the following condition. 1, applicant shall provide to zone enforcement officer a copy of Health Department 19-13-B100A approval prior to filing Mylar. Effective date of this approval shall be August 1st, 2024, and upon filing of signed Mylar on the land records.
Thank you. Could I have a second?
Second.
John Morgan, any further discussion? All in favor? And so approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you on the 15th.
Yes, you again.
We hope so.
Yeah, take care.
All right, next we have approval of minutes from July 11th, 2024, regular meeting. John Duza, secretary, are you? Yep, you're still here. Good.
Yes. Thursday, July 11th, meeting, members present, Downs, Reinhardt, O'Connor, Snow, Peckinpah, Rubin, and Morgan. Motion for approval? Sorry, I can't see.
Provide the motion.
I'll make a
That's
motion.
Michael. All right, thank you.
John,
Second.
there was one quick typo on the right at the end of the POCD discussion. There's a highlighted sentence about who seconded it. Seconded the public hearing to be
Rubina.
yeah, it's Commissioner Rubina, not Rubin. It should be Rubin, I would assume.
Got it. And which page is that again?
I think it's 3.
And at some point we should get a D in Reinhardt.
Page 3, right in the middle, just above pending applications. And thank you.
All right, so a couple of commissioner names corrections. Got it.
Thank you.
Anything else? Nothing else? Okay.
Good.
Vote to approve. All in favor? Great.
Great, thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, so moving right along, any remarks? There are no remarks from me. Erin, do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think we had a marathon week of meetings. Just
Yeah.
cut this one off.
We're saturated. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
One
Yeah,
remark?
John.
So regarding the Oyster House, so they're coming back on the 15th and they're going to ask for approval. And the question for us is, what exactly are we approving? And do we have the authority to ask them to resubmit, for example, an updated landscape plan? Because it seems to me that the plan that we originally approved is really not going to happen. So can we ask for that now, for them to bring that to us on the 15th?
I anticipate that the applicant will be bringing some updated mappings ahead of the hearing after feedback from their traffic engineer and DOT. So yes, staff can work with them to have that for you, at least clean.
Yeah, give them a heads up.
Good point.
Okay. All right.
So the landscape plan, would that include the trees they're suggesting to move, or is that outside? How does that?
Well, I think there is an approved landscaping plan for the project. I don't want to get into a lot of details of the application outside of the public hearing. So I think at this point we could staff can have conversations with both their landscape designer and their attorney and engineers and make sure that what they have before you at the next meeting incorporates comments from all of these public hearings, basically.
Can I ask a process question?
Yes.
So the trees are related to the line of sight and them working with DMV or DOT, is that correct?
Right.
DOT is involved in the process, yes.
And then at one point, so how is that separate from the application or handled separately? And any modifications within that? Because there's a setback in there included in that, correct?
I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean, Jeff. And I don't really want to get into a whole lot of discussion outside of the hearing on the application.
So we'll do it.
Either,
I'll raise the question
because the applicant is not here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll raise the questions at the hearing. That's fine.
Great.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
We'll make sure the applicant gets some clearer, concise information for the next hearing for you.
All right, thanks.
John Morgan, do you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I have two quick questions. For the August 1st meeting with the POCD, are we coming with any updates? Or what is the process? What are we doing with the information we accumulated at the last meeting?
It's a good question.
Good question. I have compiled those into a shared drive now on our just our internal zoning drive, and we'll be uploading those to the website. My goal is both the POCD page as well as just a document center like that, so anybody who goes on the link for POCD on the agendas will have a correspondence folder as well as the actual plan available.
Okay.
The current link on the last agenda had just the link for the document itself. But now that we've gotten a lot of feedback, I want to be able to have that all in one place. You don't have to make changes. I mean, you can bring your comments to the next public hearing, but there's really not an opportunity for the commission to make changes ahead of that hearing because you're still in the hearing. You're still getting feedback from both commissions and residents. And so
Board of Selectmen too.
Right, exactly. And the Board of Selectmen will be providing comments. My understanding is Monday evening.
Yep.
So I think I see the next meeting as taking those in, any new comments, closing the hearing, and then starting to work through those comments and advising staff and John Guskowski to make any changes to bring back for the next approval. So it doesn't have to happen, the actual document changes don't have to be ready for the first.
Okay.
I just add to Aaron that I thought the minutes from that meeting were really good. And so, that helps us compile what feedback we got.
I'll put the minutes in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be good. But
the correspondence.
So when we bring it back with the changes, do we have another public hearing?
No, you don't have to. So you have the public hearing, you've received public feedback, and now you can edit the document as, you don't have to edit the document at all. You can make changes as you feel are appropriate and then take action on that revision.
Okay, good. And then just quickly, whatever happened with the general residence, the Phragmite and the sidewalk? Is there follow-up on that?
We have not had a new application submitted. No.
Okay.
I can say from
they have cut it back.
Yeah, I can say from kayaking up there that it's much more open. They've cleared some of the.
It looks great. I just wonder.
Yeah.
So they're still not. They still don't have full approval for the.
There's the approval that stands is the last approval from the commission. There are no modifications to that viewing area that have the homeowners association has not come back. So the approval that was issued to the developer still stands.
Right. They were going to try to work out something with the developer, and until that happens, we have no further action to take.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
If that's it, then could I have a motion to adjourn?
You have it.
Mike, and a second from John Duza. All in favor? Any further discussion? Further